Welcome to Design Santa Barbara. I'm Michael Kurosh. This week we are in Santa Barbara Design Center and I have a special treat for you. We are going to be exploring the history of tapestries and looking at some amazing examples of this ancient textile art. Tapestries are traditionally woven on a vertical loom and feature weft-faced weaving, in which all the warp threads are hidden in the completed work, unlike cloth, where both the warp and the weft threads may be visible. Most weavers use a natural warp thread such as linen or cotton. The weft threads are usually wool or cotton, but may include silk, gold, silver, or other alternatives. The success of decorative tapestries can be partially explained by their portability. Kings and noblemen could roll up and transport tapestries from one residence to another. In churches, they were displayed on special occasions. Tapestries were also draped on the walls of castles for insulation during winter, as well as for decorative display. They have been described in the past as portable murals. Though some date back to the 3rd century BC in Greece, tapestries hit their stride in medieval Europe. In the 14th and 15th centuries, Arras, France was a thriving textile town. Industry specialized in fine wool tapestries, which were sold to decorate palaces and castles all over Europe. Few of these tapestries survived the French Revolution, as hundreds were burnt to recover the gold thread that was often woven into them. Arras is still used to refer to a rich tapestry no matter where it was woven. William Shakespeare even mentions Arras tapestries in his iconic play Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. By the 16th century, the Flanders region of Belgium had become the center of European tapestry production. In the 17th century, Flemish tapestries were arguably the most important productions, with many specimens of this era still in existence, demonstrating the intricate detail of patterns and colors embodied in painterly compositions, often of monumental scale. In the early 1500s, the Renaissance master Raphael was commissioned by the Pope to paint several large-scale works that would be converted into tapestries for the Sistine Chapel. These tapestries act as an accentuation to Michelangelo's painted ceiling. Now let's look at some tapestries from my personal collection. So we start with one of my favorite tapestries. It is woven around 1620s and is a Flemish tapestry. It is very detailed. It is one of the finest wool, warp, and silk faced. This one has silver and a lot of gold threads woven into it. A scene is of royal females looking at a handsome musician playing the harp. The harp, if you look carefully, is very detailed, has a little face on it, and that is made of gold. And these were made exclusively for the kings and absolutely the royalty back then. The thing that is intriguing to me is the parrot that's from the New World and didn't exist in Europe. I mean, they brought it from South America, and as you can see, is one of the most important features in this piece. One day I was counting the colors in this, has over 50 different shades, and it wasn't back then that you could go to a paint shop and buy the paint and dye the silk and the wool. And each one of these different colors has been selectively dyed by natural dyes. The reds right now, they look a little more muted, but you can imagine this being 400 years ago, very bright and shiny. The borders are of different fruits and they look realistic because they're very finely done. Interesting piece. Again, you can see vaguely in the back, there is a castle there. There is a village in the background up there. It's in the background, but it existed there. So they put it there for you to see. The faces are very realistic. You can see at this lady, just like romantically looking at the gentleman that's played the music. A lot of these were made for royal palaces, and there's still a number of them surviving. This particular piece, a friend of mine found in Mexico City, out of all places. And it was made into a frame on the wall. The corners on this have been redone because they were cut to go into that frame, and they removed the corners, and probably they did it over 100 years ago. They used some synthetic dyes on the wool and the silk, and you can see the sun faded those, and they're quite visible, although they're the same design, but the sun faded those synthetic dyes, as well as I can see the natural dyes 400 years gone. They still have their own patina, they have their own color, and they don't fade. They got a little bit, they can get sometimes dusty and dirty, but they don't fade. That's the good thing about natural dyes. So it's a fabulous piece, and I'm mesmerized every single time I look at this. I look at it's probably thousands and thousands of hours of work went into weaving this. As you can imagine, they were woven on a vertical loom, and each color must have been masterly woven into this. And painting this is hard, it's absolutely hard, but weaving it, I still don't understand. How can you sit down and weave this beautiful thing? Amazing. Fair market value for such epic piece in this great condition and this beautiful subject matter is approximately $250,000. When we come back, we will be looking at some more fascinating tapestries. Stay tuned.